Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jack, and today I am going to read an interesting post from Malicious Compliance about how laziness of a store manager fired 15 of her most important employees. So, let's start. My manager made me fire almost all of her most important employees. I work as an administrative assistant at a major sporting goods retailer. Part of my job is to track attendance and regularly upload a report to corporate. My store manager just recently, in the last 2 years, got hired by our district manager who she has been friends with for years. They managed to push out the old store manager who had the store running like a ticking clock. Ever since then, it has become abundantly clear that she has no idea how to run the store, and we have all suffered for it. She constantly screws up the store schedule, bullies employees she doesn't like, and has hired incompetent friends to management positions. We all dislike her and think she should be fired, but it seems like everything she does in the store makes us look bad while making her look good, until recently. Like I said above, part of my job is tracking attendance. Yet for years, it has been common knowledge that those in my position are expected to fail to upload attendance records to corporate because the company's policies on attendance are extremely harsh and many employees fail to meet attendance due to factors out of their control. For instance, employees who come in before we open to process our freight often clock in late because the managers on duty take their sweet time opening the front doors for these employees. It is not their fault that they come in late. And on some occasions, certain employees have been left outside for upwards of 30 minutes after ringing our doorbell because the only person who could open the doors was busy or didn't hear the doorbell, which is soft. Anyway, if I should upload the attendance record to corporate, many of these employees would probably be fired on the spot by our regional manager through email because these things are automated and mandatory. As a side note, the store manager is one of the managers who likes to take 10 or 15 minutes to open the door for freight employees. We all hate her for this because when it is winter we have to wait those 10 or 15 minutes outside the door in the freezing cold, and she acts like it is no big deal. Anyway, her district manager friend recently moved to another district and we got a new DM who is looking to move up in corporate. To do this, she has to make all of our metrics look awesome, including attendance. She sent an email to our store manager demanding an attendance record. I told the store manager that this could get many employees fired, but instead of realizing the implications, she told me to run the report anyway. I tried to tell her that this could result in most of the employees who had availability before we open, who are very valuable and rare, getting fired, and she completely blew me off. She literally went as far as saying that I was not thinking straight. I told her that she could adjust the attendance on her end as the DM clearly wanted her to do. This has been common procedure due to the reasons for poor attendance, and she told me that she was the store manager, she would figure it out, and I should just do my job as I was told. So I ran the report, and immediately got a furious email from the new district manager saying that I should have run the report by my store manager to adjust the records before uploading it to corporate. The next day, corporate sent an automated email with the names of all the employees that should be fired, which is not an email that our manager can either respond to or contest. She had to fire all the employees on the email. And as it turned out, every single employee with availability before we opened got fired. 15 people. And every other employee in the store is a student with no ability to work before like 10 AM, so there is nobody to process our freight, which is a massive job. I got an email from a friend in corporate yesterday that said the regional manager was lining up a replacement for our store manager due to incompetence. None of us are surprised. It's also a lawsuit waiting to happen. Yep. Get those fired together for beer and pizza along with a lawyer who specializes in class action lawsuits. A good one, mind you, not the ones who natter on about mesothelioma on late-night TV. Not busting your butt specifically, but it always grinds my gears a little bit when someone says, get a lawyer, and more so when it's get a lawyer who can handle a specific legal issue. I dare say most people simply don't have contact with the legal system and don't know how to go about doing that. The typical advice in the US is to call the local or regional bar association. That should yield a few names for an initial consult. But then how does one evaluate those lawyers? Win-loss record? Gut feel? Just how well they get on during the first consult? It just bugs me a bit that when a regular person needs a lawyer it's something that they're going to be tossed into, and it doesn't feel like anyone who says, get a lawyer, can articulate how to go about finding the right one. It's probably why ambulance chasers do so well. When you're the only one advertising and helping noobs, you're going to become the go-to guy pretty darn quick. Sorry for the rant. SKWRL tail is bang on with the idea, but it's gonna be some work to get that lawyer located and get the pizzas ordered. Better strategy: have at least one good lawyer in any field. Ask them for a recommendation. They know what to look for. IAAL. If I can't handle a potential client's issues, I'll gladly give them a good recommendation. It pleases the client and makes them more likely to come back to me when they do have something I can handle, and makes me look good to whoever I recommend them to, increasing the likelihood I get business referred from them. If you don't want to go in cold, ask around among people you trust and find someone who had a good experience with a lawyer. Go to that lawyer, ask about your issue, and even if they can't help you, they'll most likely be able to refer you to someone who can. We all have networks for a reason. That's why I take legal insurance at every opportunity that it's offered. The premiums are generally inexpensive compared to just hiring a lawyer with cash. You get referrals based on specialty attorneys who participate in the legal insurance plans, and these plans generally cover employment, labor law, family, divorce, estate planning, landlord, tenant, etc. The common reasons most people need a lawyer once in a while. Using legal insurance, I put it in quotes because it's not really insurance. I was able to sue a former landlord and won. I'd have never been able to afford to fight that battle with just fat cash. The legal insurance company paid the attorney, and part of the settlement he got me also included payment to him and my court expenses. It's like, all you can sue for $5 per pay period. I don't even care if the attorney gets to double dip, as long as I get what I went to them for. Highly recommend if your employer offers it, which is rare. Probably wouldn't be worth it, much higher premiums, to fly solo and look for private legal insurance. Thanks. That's the solid, actionable advice that I had not heard before. I like your phrasing of all you can sue for $5 per pay period too. This is so true. The other thing to consider is that even if you are totally in the right, and the company is totally in the wrong, that does not mean every lawyer will be jumping at the chance to take your case pro bono, and lawsuits are too expensive for most people. I was incorrectly terminated once, was a department manager reporting directly to the COO at the company for 5 years making nearly $100,000 per year. Law was on my side, and no lawyer would touch me because the potential payout was not worth it for them. And of course I was unemployed at the time, so had no way to pay for it myself. I filed a complaint with the labor board, which went to arbitration and got an adjudicator who was very biased in favor of the company. Automated attendance-based email firings must be the stupidest corporate policy I have heard of yet. They fired people over email for abusing discounts simply because those people used the discounts on forms of payment that were unusual for them. For instance, my friend got fired because he used his discount with a new credit card and they assumed he was giving his discount to a friend, even though he could prove it was his credit card. They track types of payments. That sounds like a lawsuit. We can't sue them because part of the terms and agreements for our employment is that we go to a court of arbitration that they choose instead of court in the case of a disagreement. And we have no workers' rights. They can, and have in the past, scheduled people, me included, for 10-hour shifts with 4-hour breaks in between and fire them if they didn't show. My manager once joked that they could do whatever they wanted to us and we couldn't retaliate because of the laws of New Mexico. It's infuriating. Arbitration is just suing without having to pay court costs. You can still sue, and you have rights based on federal and state labor laws. No tax-paying employee is that powerless. Multiple employees have sued in the past and lost, and it's common knowledge in the store. One employee had his leg torn open by a falling piece of metal in our receiving area, and our current store manager had his workman's comp appeal rejected by lying to the court of arbitration. He got completely screwed over and can't walk properly anymore, so nobody wants to sue the store. And he had video evidence and everything. One would think that suddenly requiring the immediate dismissal of a large chunk of the workforce would require some sort of oversight or raise some flags. I guess it was enough to get the manager in hot water, but not enough to preserve the livelihoods of 15 people fired for doing nothing wrong. This is a large retailer with so many regulations in place that a couple dozen employees don't go amiss. They recently fired almost 10 people for using their discount on transactions that were approved by management simply because corporate wanted to crack down on discount as a percentage of sales, which was only around 4%. So they clearly don't give a fuck about employees or actual profit, because many of the employees they fired for those discounts, which were like $20 or $30 total discounts, were sales leads who take thousands of dollars and dozens of hours to train. It was called the Purge of 2018 and it cost us many of our best trained employees. Ironically, the new big issue in the store is giving out too many discounts to customers because of fake coupons. Coupons that take a trained employee to spot. Trained employees like the 9 cashiers they recently fired. And they've lost tens of thousands of dollars to this at our one store alone. Thus entire system would be very illegal in any first world country outside the US. Firing 15 people due to clerical error? No oversight? No appeal process? That's madness. I was hoping the store manager would be one of the people whose attendance you were reporting on and that they'd be fired by email too. Sorry, 15 people got fired for the incompetence of one woman, but blame also accrues to the district managers and corporate policy makers who don't fight this firing action. Every policy should have room for exceptions and extenuating circumstances that can be used to override a bad action like this, and managers should fight to make sure the policies give them that power. To be fair to corporate, the ability exists for the store manager to reconcile timecard punches to the time the cameras see the person arrive at the door. My manager just didn't want to. Which is part of the reason we are all glad she won't be here very long. Honestly, this boils my piss. I work in the UK and we have some damn good rights, but the conversation about rights aside, a good, if not great manager, would accept this and work to keep the good staff, not because it just benefits them, but because if you can show even some humility, those good staff will work harder and become great staff. As a saying goes, people leave bad managers, not bad jobs. I know these guys got fired, but it wouldn't have been long. Reminds me of a company I worked for after I sold them my company, web hosting, data center, so most of our employees were the IT nerd types. The president is like, I'm thinking about drug testing everyone, and I said, no, unless you want to fire at least half your support techs, do not do that. He did it. About half tested positive for pot. I knew most of them smoked, they're IT nerds, the anomalies is usually who doesn't toke up. I worked in a call center and everyone knew the drug policy was, don't ask, don't tell. You didn't even get drug tested upon hire, only if you said something about using in front of both witnesses and a manager or were involved in an incident that might potentially hit their insurance. Considering that sometimes things got so crazy there was unlimited overtime and a few people would occasionally work 24-hour shifts, yeah, there was a lot of drug use going on, probably on premises even. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit like and subscribe for more daily videos.